You might have seen things like this in the press. You might even think things like this. How difficult it is to come to the UK. How the UK is making life very difficult. I'm here today to tell you that this is not the case. The UK is still the #1 destination for educating your sons and daughters. There are plenty of other opportunities in funny little countries like America, Australia, but they're nowhere near as good as the UK. So please don't believe some of the things that you see here. We've had an election in the UK, and there is lots of talk at the moment going on about the UK coming out of Europe. There's been lots of talk about trying to reduce numbers of migrants, but the reality is very different. The numbers of migrants in the UK is rising. The numbers of students coming to study in the UK is rising. We are very much looking forward to welcoming good students to the UK. The Tier 4 system, you may have heard this word. The Tier 4 system is the visa system for students coming to study in the UK. And it's a very fair system. Either you meet the criteria to study in the UK or you don't. It's not subjective. It's very, very fair. You may have heard people talk about some of these things and tell you how difficult they are and what an obstacle they are to studying in the UK. Well, in the next few minutes, I'm going to prove to you that they're not that at all. There is this thing called the genuine test. The first thing to say to you is that for most of you in this hall, the genuine test will not apply. Because if you're under 18 and going to study in a UK school, then you don't have to worry about the genuine test. Some of you may be over 18, but basically the genuine test is going to ask you a few questions. It's like a mini interview. You wouldn't go to any other interview without doing your homework, without preparing, and the questions are not difficult. They're going to ask you about the course you're going to study on. They're going to ask you why you've chosen that particular school or university. These are not difficult questions there to trick you. They're there to check that you are a genuine applicant for the course that you're going to go on. English language testing. All of you who go to study in a UK school do not need to worry about this. If you're under 18 and going to a British school, no problem with an English language test because the school will do their own admissions process with you. The school make a promise to the UK Visa and Immigration Service that you meet this requirement. But if you're over 18, then you will have to do an English language test. And ultimately, you're coming to England to study, so it's fairly reasonable for it to be expected that you have a reasonable level of English. If you don't, if you're needing to improve your English, you can investigate a pre-sessional course or a short 3-month course. And these you can come to without a Tier 4 visa. So it's very, very straightforward. Again, nothing to worry about. You'll have heard about the NHS surcharge. NHS stands for National Health Service. In England, healthcare is free. And as a student coming to study in the UK, there is a one-off charge of £150 per year, and that gives you unlimited access to British healthcare. This is something other countries say, oh, we don't charge for this, but look at the costs for having treatment in other countries. They are enormous costs. One-off cost in the UK for £150 is, I believe, fairly good value for some of the best healthcare in the world. The application form. I'm about to put my business out of work potentially because you want me to stand here and tell you, oh, the application form is very complicated. It's a very difficult thing to do. It's really not. It is quite straightforward. But we are here to help and we can do the application for you or you can do it yourself. It's online and you need to have your details together. Your student details, your immigration history, the detail of the course that you're going to study on, your payment, and you will then need to book an appointment and possibly, depending on your age, an interview.
Hello， 希望你鍾意呢條片啦！如果你對英國升學有興趣嘅話，可以 subscribe 我哋嘅 channel， 又或者去我哋嘅官方網站下載電子書同埋 newsletter。 亦都可以打電話同我哋傾下。下次見，拜拜。